So I have to admit, when I first heard about this game, my initial impression was, yeah, no, this is going to be awful. Why are you doing this? Because, we've seen so many games. I think most notably for me, one that I was really hyped for was the Rambo game that that came out on Rails and ended up being a total pile of shit. I mean, let's face it, movies do not usually make good games, and vice versa. It's just the way it is. That medium just hasn't really met much success. It seems like that might be starting to change. The World of Warcraft movie's looking pretty interesting to me. That might be really good. But traditionally, no. It's something that if it's going to happen, it's going to suck. It's pretty much going to suck. The Resident Evil movies, I mean, the second one was all right. First one I've got some nostalgia for. I went to see that with my cousin. The Tomb Raider movies, it's just something that doesn't really do that well. But looking at movies being made into games, it tends to be a little bit more successful, I'd say. But yeah, I was heavily skeptical when I heard about this. So needless to say, I've been ignoring it for a while, but it just kept popping up. Alpha Omega Sin did a video for it, and I tried to ignore it. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. And then I kept seeing things on like Yahoo and Facebook. Finally, I decided to click the link and check it out, and I have to say, the way that they're selling it, the way they're pitching this idea does seem pretty damn interesting. And I think there's a massive margin for failure here, but if they do it right, it could be really, really interesting. Another thing that's turned me off, though, is this is a Kickstarted project. It's on Kickstarter, and we know how H-Hour turned out. It's just one of those things that's like, man, you get burned once from it, you don't really want to put your money down again. And it's tough for me to recommend people to do that now. After I recommended H-Hour and was holding H-Hour up as like, oh, it's the next SOCOM, and then I mean, look where that got us. To be fair, that hasn't reached the end of its rope yet, but we don't know. I'm not even gonna get into that shit. But they're standing at about $600,000 right now of their $700,000 goal, and they've got about 9 days remaining. So it looks like they're going to make it. They're very close to their goal, getting the last 100 grand or so by the time this video goes up. I think they'll get it. Once these games get this close, usually it's carried it right at the end. Obviously, stretch goals, I don't know, maybe it depends on how it picks up. But at any rate, it looks like it's going to make it stretch goals. And what interests me is I saw Adam Sessler was in the video, and I've always liked Adam Sessler, just going way back to when he was on G4 back in the day with X-Play, man. And then I saw Tom Savini and the original creators of the movie and the people who did the soundtrack and all that shit. They're all there talking about this game. I'm like, yeah, this is, it's pretty cool that these guys are on board. Tom Savini is a legend. I mean, he's done so many amazing movies. I believe he was part of Dawn of the Dead. I don't know if he did Night of the Living Dead. I think he was still too young at that point. But he worked on a lot of Romero films. He's legendary. I mean, him and Greg Nicotero are legendary within the horror genre for their makeup effects and special effects. So having them on board, that's big. That's really big. So that immediately piqued my interest when I saw them. And I mean, obviously they have nothing to do with the game design, but what I think they need to do for this game in order for it to really be successful, obviously aside from the gameplay, is they have to nail those graphics. And people might be saying graphics, the gameplay's got to be. Well, yes, the gameplay does got to be good. It's got to be really good. But the graphics, they have to nail it because games like this are all about the atmosphere. And it's, I mean, you can have atmosphere with games with graphics that aren't that great, but I think they need to get those aesthetics down really well. I think they need to push the graphics really, really high on this one, and yeah, I think it's just really important to establish that and to get that atmosphere. Now, the interesting thing, in case you haven't heard about this game, is it's going to be Jason versus 7 other players as camp counselors. And typically, when you have games like this, nobody wants to play, the 7 counselors. Everybody wants to play like as the infected from Left 4 Dead, right? It's not as fun to play as the survivors. But the way they've described how this feels, it feels to me like it's going to be a genuinely terrifying experience to play as a camp counselor. It seems like you're going to get that survival horror feeling. Like, oh shit, where is he? You're shitting your pants the whole time just trying to survive. And that's your goal, to try to survive. You want to get out alive and at any cost. So you can work together as a team, but really what it comes down to is most people are probably just going to be out for themselves. So even using other people as bait to get away and things like that, I think we'll see a lot of that. And this can lend itself to be very interesting because obviously playing as Jason is going to be a blast. He's overpowered. He's got access to weapons that just, if he gets a hold of somebody, it's over, right? I mean, it's like fighting the tyrant in Resident Evil. He's just a beast. So playing as him, that's not, that's going to be fun. It would be hard to fuck that up. So the way they're talking about the counselors is that it's going to be fun to play as them, and that's something that asymmetric games haven't really been able to do too terribly well. And this is something that we saw with Evolve. Everybody wanted to play as the monster. Playing as the humans is just really boring. Even actually playing as a monster wasn't really that fun in Evolve. I trash on Evolve a lot on this channel. But yeah, I mean, everybody wants to play as Jason, right? He's a fucking badass. He's the star of Friday the 13th. So if they can make the counselors fun, then they've got a winner. This could be really awesome, guys. And as skeptical as I'm remaining, I'm being cautiously skeptical here. It could be pretty cool because they're explaining that the counselors might have different abilities. Like the jock might be more powerful with melee attacks or something. And you could have the hero girl that could be the only one that could actually kill Jason. Somebody might be better at putting vehicles together, and they could have like different traits and stuff. So that lends itself into a little bit more fun because you're giving more depth to the characters. And it kind of reminds me a little bit of what Resident Evil Outbreak did. Some characters could pick the locks, and other characters could make weapons out of just your everyday household items. One of the aspects of that game that I really enjoyed. So if they do something like that, they put that into the game, it could beef things up substantially and can make it a lot of fun to play as the, well, I don't want to say survivors, but that's really what they are. They're trying to be anyway. They're aspiring to be survivors, the camp counselors. So yeah, man, this is one I've got my eye on, and I hope it pans out. I might actually drop a little bit of money on this just to get the standard stuff. I haven't gone through to check what it all entails to get a copy of the game. Probably like 15 or 25 bucks, somewhere around there. But let me know what you guys think about this. Do you think it's going to be a great game, or do you think it's going to be another Kickstarter failure? What are your thoughts on this? Let me know in the comments section below. If you like this video, I ask you to please leave a like. If this is your first time to my channel, I ask you to please subscribe. I thank you all for watching, and I look forward to seeing you all in my next video.